Is China really Russia's biggest threat? An interesting question, isn't it? We often hear discussions and debates revolving around Russia's relationship with Western countries. The narratives commonly paint the West as the primary threat to Russia, a notion that has been etched into the global consciousness for decades. But what if we've been looking in the wrong direction all along? What if the real danger lies not across the Atlantic, but across the vast plains of Siberia? Could the real threat be hiding in the East instead of the West? To understand the present, we must first delve into the past. The complex dance between Russia and China is steeped in history. The Cold War era was a time when these two behemoths, both champions of communism, stood shoulder to shoulder, presenting a united front against the Western world. The ideological bond, however, was far from unbreakable. In the late 60s, the Sino-Soviet split, a rift between the Soviet Union and the People's Republic of China, led to a series of border conflicts. Strains were evident as both nations vied for leadership of the global communist movement. Old territorial disputes, political distrust, and ideological differences flared up, leading to skirmishes along the Ussuri River. The Battle of Zhenbao Island in 1969 became a symbolic representation of this tension, a flashpoint that threatened to escalate into a full-blown war. But war did not come. Instead, the 70s and 80s saw a cooling-off period, a détente of sorts, where both nations kept a wary eye on each other, an uneasy peace prevailing. The 90s, however, ushered in a new chapter in their relationship. The dissolution of the Soviet Union and China's economic reforms led to a significant shift in the global power dynamics. As both nations faced the challenges of redefining their roles in a rapidly changing world, they found common ground. They recognized that cooperation rather than confrontation was the way forward. The two nations began to reconcile, setting aside their differences for mutual benefit. The signing of the Treaty of Good Neighborliness and Friendly Cooperation in 2001 was a testament to this new approach. This historical background sets the stage for the current dynamics between Russia and China. With shared interests and mutual dependencies, the relationship is far more complex than it appears on the surface, and as we delve deeper into the present, we'll see how these past interactions have shaped the Russia-China relationship we see today. This historical background sets the stage for the current dynamics between Russia and China. As times change, so do relationships. The 21st century has seen a dramatic evolution in the relationship between Russia and China. A key driver of this change has been the escalation of their economic ties. With China's rise as a global economic powerhouse, Russia has seen it as a lucrative opportunity for trade and investment. This economic interdependence has been further fueled by China's insatiable demand for Russia's natural resources, from oil and gas to minerals. But it's not all about economics. There's a strategic dimension to this relationship too. Central Asia and the Arctic have become arenas of subtle rivalry between the two nations. Both Russia and China have vested interests in these regions, and their strategies often clash. While Russia aims to maintain its traditional sphere of influence in Central Asia, China is extending its Belt and Road Initiative through this region, creating a new dynamic of competition. The story is similar in the Arctic. Russia, with its vast Arctic territories, sees the region as a strategic frontier, but China, with its Polar Silk Road Initiative, is also eyeing the Arctic's untapped resources and potential shipping routes. This has led to an undercurrent of rivalry despite the veneer of cooperation. Another intriguing aspect of this evolving relationship is China's increasing influence in Russia's Far East. The depopulated and underdeveloped Russian Far East has seen an influx of Chinese businesses and workers. While this has boosted the local economy, it has also spurred concerns in Russia about China's growing footprint in this strategic region. So, while the 21st century has seen Russia and China grow economically intertwined, it has also witnessed a strategic rivalry unfold in the shadows. These two nations, despite their growing cooperation, are also locked in a competitive dance, each trying to secure its own interests and influence. While on the surface Russia and China may seem like close partners, beneath it, a complex web of competition and mistrust is woven. So, what does all this mean for Russia? Let's take a moment to recap the key points we've discussed so far. We've delved into the history and evolution of Russia-China relations, painting a picture of a complex and shifting dynamic. We've seen how Russia's economic reliance on China has grown significantly, leaving the former in a precarious position of dependence. We've also highlighted the strategic competition brewing between these two global powers. Despite their seemingly cordial diplomatic relations, it's clear that both nations are jostling for position on the world stage. This competition extends to Russia's Far East, where Chinese influence is on the rise, challenging Russia's dominance in a region it has long considered its own. These factors combined suggest that the real threat to Russia may not be from the West, as commonly perceived, but from its supposed ally in the East. A fascinating twist in the geopolitical narrative, wouldn't you say? What could potentially happen if China becomes a threat to Russia? This is a question that could keep many a Russian policymaker awake at night. Let's delve into the implications of this scenario for Russia. If China were to become a threat, Russia could face a significant economic challenge. China is Russia's largest trading partner, and any disruption in this relationship could have far-reaching economic consequences. Russia could see a drop in exports, which could potentially lead to a slowdown in economic growth. Moreover, Russia's reliance on China for technology and infrastructure development could also be threatened, possibly leading to a stalling of progress in these areas. But the implications aren't limited to the economy. Strategically, a threat from China could put Russia in a precarious position. Russia has a long border with China, which could become a security concern in a hostile scenario. Russia's military might is formidable, but the sheer scale and technological prowess of China's armed forces could pose a unique challenge. This could necessitate a shift in Russia's defense strategy, with more resources being diverted towards the Eastern Front. The impact on Russia's foreign policy could be just as profound. Russia might be compelled to seek new alliances to counterbalance the Chinese threat. This could lead to a reorientation of Russia's foreign policy, with a greater emphasis on building ties with other Asian nations, Europe, and even the United States. However, it's important to note that these are potential scenarios, not certainties. The nature of international relations is such that it's often difficult to predict exactly how things will unfold. But one thing is clear: the prospect of a powerful and assertive China could fundamentally alter the geopolitical landscape for Russia. In a world where power dynamics are constantly shifting, Russia, like all nations, will need to adapt and respond to these changes. It's a delicate balancing act, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The prospect of a powerful and assertive China could fundamentally alter the geopolitical landscape for Russia. So, is China really Russia's biggest threat? As we draw to a close, let's circle back to our opening question. We've journeyed through the intricate history of Russia-China relations, explored their evolution, and delved into the implications for Russia. Now it's time for us to wrap up our discussion and draw some conclusions. China's growing economic, military, and technological prowess undeniably positions it as a formidable global player. This, coupled with Russia's dependence on China for economic support, particularly in the face of Western sanctions, means that the balance of power could tilt unfavorably for Russia in the long run. Moreover, the border disputes between the two nations, although largely resolved, have left historical scars. The potential for future territorial tensions, especially in a scenario where China might choose to exercise its power more assertively, cannot be completely ruled out. Russia's Far East, with its sparse population and abundant resources, is another area of concern. China's need for resources to fuel its economic growth could potentially lead to increased Chinese influence in this region, thereby posing a strategic challenge for Russia. On the other hand, we must acknowledge that predicting future geopolitical scenarios is a complex task fraught with uncertainties. The current camaraderie between Russia and China, driven by their shared interest in counterbalancing Western influence, may well continue into the foreseeable future. However, geopolitical alliances are not set in stone, and the dynamics could change as national interests evolve. Furthermore, the potential threat from China doesn't negate the existing pressures Russia faces from Western countries. While China's rise might seem more immediate, the long-standing ideological and political differences between Russia and the West continue to pose significant challenges. In conclusion, while it's clear that China could potentially pose a greater threat to Russia than Western countries, it's equally important to recognize the complexities and uncertainties involved in such assessments. Geopolitics is a chess game of power, alliances, and interests, and predicting the next move is never easy. Only time will tell whether China will indeed emerge as Russia's biggest threat. Until then, all we can do is watch, analyze, and anticipate. So, until the next time we delve into the fascinating world of geopolitics, keep those analytical glasses on and stay curious.